So in this video, we are going to talk about creating a new project template in Visual Studio. And by that, I mean when you go to new project. So you click create new project and you get all these options here. I'm going to talk about how to make your own specific template that appears in this menu and creates a template for you. So to do that, and the reason I'm doing the video in the first place is I have this open source project called SolidDNA. That's to help the SolidWorks API be easier. I finally moved it all into a NuGet package. So now the 7th tutorial instance can be really easy, like almost a one file project with a reference to a NuGet package. So I'm going to turn this into a template. Template, you can't have a solution file or anything really that isn't referenced in the CS project itself. I'm going to move the installer and the physical DLL references into the project folder here and reference them in the actual project. I'm going to rename this to SolidDNA.blank. SolidDNA.blank. We'll rename this to SolidDNA.blank. And we'll just edit this in VS Code to point to what will become the SolidDNA.blank CS proj file. Edit the name of it there, and the name of it there. And now we go into here and rename this. The other thing we'll notice is that the .user file also refuses to copy over because that's meant to be user preferences. However, that also includes the startup program, so it's kind of annoying that it doesn't include that because we make use of that. So we have the new solution. We've renamed it, basically copy pasted and renamed. So now let's just make sure it builds. So it's fairly simple. You want to get the project that you want to turn into a template. Build failed. Give me a reason then. Build succeeded. Okay, it's fine. So you just need to do a package restore, I think. So now let's just change the assembly info to match SolidDNA.blank as well. Just so it kind of all matches the template name when we export. So that's that. And then one thing it will do when you export is it will look for whatever the right click on the project and properties, whatever the assembly name is, or the default namespace, which will also still set to the other one. We'll find and replace instances of that exact name. So in our comment here, if we change this to SolidDNA.blank, when we come to export as a template, you'll notice even this will get replaced. And when you make a new project, it'll be the name of your actual DLL that compiles. The other little thing I need to do is debugging the code. This project already is being set up so you can press F5. So this one actually has, due to that CS proj.user file. So in the debug, it'll start external program. The problem with that for a template is that it's in this user file. So if we were to open the user file, then you'll find that it's in here, and this won't copy over in a template. So we're gonna have to change this note to basically say, in order to press F5 to start SolidWorks up and instantly begin debugging your code, open up project properties, go to debug, select start external program, and point to there by default. If your install is different, just change the path. Also, the project properties application has been make com assembly visible, which is fine because that's in the assembly info file here. So other than that actual file there, the comment, this should be good to now use as a template, and I want to basically copy it all over. So because I've moved the references as well, they're still found, but let's just right click, unload the project and edit, and let's make sure the hint paths are relative. So here's the hint paths to the DLL references I had. Because this is going to be a template, and because I'm now including the references inside the same folder, it wants to be a relative path that is basically just references and then the name of the actual file. And then when they come to create a new project of this, the hint path will pick up where the DLLs are correctly. So you may have to do this in your project for any references you have if you're going to include any kind of references. This is a rare case where I'm actually including references in a project. That's because SolidWorks provides interrupt DLLs, and the way that Solid DNA works, we can't embed them into the application. So that's all the relative paths done. And now, as I mentioned at the start, basically when you create a template, if it isn't in this list here, if you can't see it in this list, it's not going to end up in the project template. So we click show all files, and we need to include basically the DLLs themselves and the add-in installer. And they're just going to appear as content, they won't get compiled. So if you were to right click on them and click properties, they're already set to content. So nothing's going to happen with them in terms of your code. They're just going to sit here in this tree. So it's a slight downside because I wouldn't typically have these in my project folder. But once the user's made a project, they're quite happy to simply select them, right click and exclude from projects, and do as they please with those two folders. It's not a major issue. So this template's good now to export. So if we were to now do project export template, and we want a project template, then this is the project we want to export. The template name, this is, if you have to think about this, this is the name and description that appears when you do file new project. So if I just cancel that out a second and do file new project, it's this name. So this is the name and this is the description. So that's what we're doing there. So if we were to do file project export template next. So the template name we want to appear more Solid DNA blank template, or call it blank add-in. A blank SolidWorks add-in that displays message box to the user. So it couldn't be any simpler. The icon and preview image, I'm going to browse for an icon. I'm just going to make use of, I'm getting an icon made for Solid DNA. Until then, I'm just going to make use of my logos. So in here, I'm going to use icon image, so it's the actual icon. Well, I presume it's an icon. It's saying icon image. Not, well, it's a bit confusing actually. Saying image, but I'm pretty sure it wants an icon. So I'm going to use my AngelSix icon. For the preview image, I'm going to use this for now, the AngelSix, and then once I get my other ones, I will change this over. I'm going to uncheck the automatically import template because I want to manually do that and check it works. Click finish, and this makes a zip for you with your add-in. We're now just going to extract that zip. So what this has done for the most part is zipped up your project. So you can see assembly info. If we were to open this in VS Code, actually, you can see it's the exact same file with the assembly title and product replaced with this variable, $safe project name $. That name is the name that appears when you do a file new template, file new project, and you select one. It's this name here that gets automatically filled. So this name is safe project name. So that will get replaced in the assembly info. The GUID, when you've got a project template, you have, I think, 10 GUIDs that are unique. So because one of the GUIDs that it's detected needs to be unique, it's replaced it with that variable as well. So it's altered that file to replace basically the variables. That's pretty much all it does. The references are in there. The preview image that I selected is in there. Template icon is, although I'm not going to open that up. That's the AngelSix icon you can see down here. And the template file is the main thing it created, but we'll come back to that in a minute. We take a look at this in VS Code. We should hopefully see, yep, it's picked up on the name here of the project and replaced the DLL. So now even the comment is going to be correct to the name of whatever they create, and also the namespace. So what it's mostly doing is simply going through, finding any instances of the project name and replacing them. And then in addition to that, the assembly info is GUID. And then finally the CS proj, you'll notice same thing. The root namespace is the safe project name, the assembly name is the safe project name, project IDs are unique GUID, and the references have stayed relative, which is good. So that's about it, that's all it's done. So in terms of editing your physical files, if you wanted to do this manually, which you certainly can, you don't need to do project export. You basically replace the assembly infos names with variables, the comment to have the variable name in, the CS project have the variable name in. And then other than that, it creates this VS template file. And then here it's fairly simple. Here's the name of the project that we said appears in the new project dialog. Same with the description, the project type C#, the sort order inside of whatever folder we're in is the default 1000. Create a new folder for solutions defaulted to true. The default name is set to solid_dna.blank add-in. Now the default name is the name of the project. Again, if I flick back to this one, if we were to do file new project, the default name is this thing. So we don't want this name for the actual project file itself, having spaces and dashes in. This we want to change to solid_dna.blank. Then provide default name true, so it gives it the name. You'll see the icon and preview basically set up to the paths of the two files it included for us. And that's it for the main templates that we'll install. Then here's the project inside of there. So this is now the target file name it's after is the original one. This will get renamed based on the fact that it matches and it knows it's, the target name is going to end up being the safe project name what gets created. But this is finding the actual files. So this is finding solid_dna.blank, which is here, and creating a project from it. Then it's going to replace all the references or redo the references that are in the CS proj file in this kind of format. So you've got a folder in your project called properties, which you can see there. And in there, it's got an assembly info. This replace parameters means it's going to replace that safe project name with the actual name of the project. And that's basically the same thing it does for every file. So the references we have are just file references, but it's going to include them all. Same for the installer one. And then finally the other actual CSS, so the actual CS file we have is here again. So there's nothing special there. That's basically similar to your CS proj. That's just a VS template representation of that file. So there's nothing really to do in here because we've set the details up ourselves. So now we have that, we can rezip this up because we've extracted and changed one thing. So I'm just going to make a new zip of it. I'll cut that out. Going to paste it there and replace. So that's our new zip ready. So this is the file we want. And if we can close that solution. So I'm just going to make a new project. And this time I want a VSiX project. So this is in extensibility. If you don't have this, then open up Visual Studio installer. So if you just search your start menu or go to control panel, select Visual Studio and select change, that'll bring up the familiar installer. Click modify. And then when this loads, it's figuring out what's already installed. And then if you go to scroll down, if it's slightly big, you'll see it side by side, which is what you typically see. You want to make sure this Visual Studio extension development is checked in your install. That's what gives you the ability to have this VSiX project. So with this VSiX project, I'm going to call this solid.dna.blank. Oh no, this is going to be, this project will host all templates. So this isn't going to just be this one project template. Ultimately, I'll have tens of dozens of solid DNA templates. So this project will host all of them. This is like the extension the user will install that will appear in Tools Extensions. So when they install that, they will gain your project templates. So this isn't for one, this is for the whole lot. So I'll call this solid.dna.templates and click OK. And this is going to create a default index and CS file, which we don't need. It's simply there to give you some guidance. I don't need the guidance, so I'm going to delete the two files. So we're left with basically the extension. We have the normal properties for the project, which we don't really need to change, that's fine. References, it'll only have one, so that's fine. So really the only thing this project has is the project itself and the VSiX manifest. So let's just check out the project properties first, see if we need to change anything. So we've got the templates. It's going to build as normal. Don't really need anything there. It's going to start up the dev environment if you press F5 to kind of show it running. I presume it'll actually show it running with this template. Maybe it'll just execute it to start. I've never actually pressed F5 to try that, to be honest. And that's really it. So there's nothing to change in there. So the only thing we need to work with is this VSiX manifest. So now the product name is the name because, as I mentioned, this will create an installer for us. It will appear in Tools, Extensions, and Updates. And it's going to be this name here and this description here. So that's the information you're seeing and then all this extra info. So some of them have more info, release notes. So you can see all these kind of pieces of info. Here's the icon. All that's going to appear in the extensions thing. So in the name here, solid DNA templates, we'll call it. The product ID, I'm just going to delete the name of the project and leave just the GUID. I'm the author, it's version 1.0. The description, we will put solid DNA templates for easy creation of SolidWorks API add-ins using C#, something like that. Language US, fine. License is none, it's open source, but I could browse to an MIT license, I'm not going to bother. The icon again, I'll browse for now to my repository with my logo in. And I will use icon as this. I'll update this, like I say, to a solid DNA one when I get one. And then again, I will browse to my filled logo this time and use that. Tags, I guess I'll use solid DNA will be the first one, and solid DNA. I presume that they are, I think actually they're typically space delimited. I know Visual Studio tends to do space delimited tags. Let's just do spaces. AngelSix, SolidWorks, API, Luke Malpass, taskbar, add in, login, plug, and then we've already got in. I think that's about it. So they're all the tags I can think. First release containing the basic solid DNA blank template. Getting started guide, I haven't really made one yet. It's technically in the file itself of the project. More info, Earl. We can point to the GitHub source, I guess. And then that's got all the tutorials and things. So basically fill out this info with what suits. Install targets. I always just delete whatever's in there, because it's usually only one. and then add. This is what it can install on. So we'll click community, click OK, then click add again, click pro, and click add again, click enterprise, which are the three main ones you can download. So basically this installer should work on all of the main Visual Studios. Assets, this is where you now actually add that zip file. So click new, click project template, and then file on file system, and then browse. And now we have to go to wherever I created that. It was in, where was it? We still got it open. Yeah, exported templates. So it's this file here. And in fact, we should keep a copy of that in the Git repo after. So that's it, that's that file. Click OK, it makes a copy of it into here. And it's called solid.dna space blank space add in. I'll probably rename that to solid.dna.blank once I start adding more. So it kind of matches the, I don't know. Actually, I might just keep it that way, that's fine. So that's now the project added. So when it gets installed, this project template will be included. We have no dependencies, we have no prerequisites. So that is basically it, believe it or not. So now if we Control Shift and B to build, and you'll see down here we have the the thing building. So it's taking a little while, now it's built. So now if we right click and open folder in File Explorer, just like any other project, go to bin, and then I'm building in debug, and then I've got the template. So now I want to test this install. So if we close this down, close that down now, close that down now, close that down. Right, so now we can double click this. This is what would get distributed. We're going to do it through the actual online service already. But if we double click, you'll see it'll start an installer. And this is actually going to install the project for us into our version of Visual Studio. So we click install. And oh, I've still got Visual Studio open in another window. And then it only takes a few seconds to install. And then we'll restart Visual Studio and check. So that's done. Open up a new Visual Studio. And then if we first go to Tools, Extensions, we should see Solid DNA in here. There we go. Solid DNA templates with my little AngelSix logo. Solid DNA templates for easy creation of SolidWorks APIs. Release notes. Does this open a window or not? More info. So more info opens the link that we provided, which is good. The release notes doesn't do anything. I'm not sure whether that's meant to bring a little pop down or whether I was meant to link to a file there. I think I was meant to link to. So I think that was meant to be an online release notes. So I'll just delete that text and rebuild. But other than that, that's installed. So now if we go to File, New, Project, you'll see there's no folder here, but if we go to the top C#, we should see in here, there we go, a Solid DNA blank add-in with a nice big picture, which we could show a SolidWorks screenshot. We'll improve all these pictures afterwards. It's picked up the name soliddna.blank and then put 1 at the end. If we go ahead and create that project, obviously we want to make sure the actual thing really does work. There's no point just looking at it. So it's created a project called soliddna.blank1. Go to properties, assembly info, and it's also put in there as we expected with a new COM, and it's still visible. What you will notice though, as I mentioned, you will lose this because this is user preferences. So you just have to go start external program browse. That's the the user's job. The references are in here, which we wanted, and then a single file here, which has the new name here. It's got a new comments with now blank1 as that comment. So when the user opens it, they've got one file, so they'll obviously open that, and then it'll give them the introduction, basically. Control Shift and B will restore all the project packages, and then all the errors should go away and it'll build successful. So there we go, we've now got all the references in and it's built successful. And then if the user reads this, they'll know to go to the references folder, not the references folder, the resources folder, open up the add-in installer, and then browse for their compiled DLL, which is obviously going to be in debug bin and called solid-dna.blanco1. Register that and it works, but that's specific to SolidWorks, not specific to creating obviously a project template. So in terms of the project template, I'm happy that's worked. I'm going to go to Tools Extensions, pick Solid DNA Templates and uninstall it for the minute. And the only thing I need to do with that is to, and then you just wait once you close Visual Studio to let this uninstall. I'll then reopen this template, delete that release notes because that's meant to be an URL, I'm pretty sure. And we will compile this and then get it published live so that people can install this directly from Visual Studio. So now that's uninstalled, let's reopen the project. And it takes a lot longer to reopen because we've edited the extensions. So the first time it opens, it takes a while. Release notes, yeah, it says browse. So I'm guessing we're meant to provide a file. Yeah, so that's meant to be a file. So for now, we'll just leave the release notes. I'll improve that in the next version, but if you want to, you just browse to a file. So that's all good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to build that. We'll also build in, once it's succeeded down here, I'll build in release mode. So now you can happily provide this as a download on your own website if you want. So all you need to do now is open project folder, go to bin, release. So this is now your file. It contains everything, and all this is a zip. So if you were to rename this to .zip, even the template install itself is just a zip file containing the project templates, the space. Oh, and the one other thing I did want to do, sorry, was we just quickly reopen. I do want to include these templates in a folder. So right now, they are just in the main project. We want it to be grouped in a solid DNA folder. So if you open your project, the way you do that, and we'll double check it works, is in the project templates itself, just add a folder and just call it whatever you want. So I'm going to call it solid DNA and drag that in and rebuild. And we'll do a quick install to verify that works. So that's now installed. So going back to what I was mentioning, basically if you want to now put this extension on your own website and allow users to download it and install it, then that's fine. You can do that. The other nicer way is to allow the user to install this directly inside of Visual Studio. So that's what we'll do next. So let's just let this install and quickly validate that now we have the project templates inside our own subfolder. So it's nice and organized and easy to see. So that's the extension installed. And just open Visual Studio again. Double check it's in extensions, updates. There it is. Go to File, New, Project. And hopefully we see now solid DNA. So now the user can go, oh, I want a template, Visual Studio, C#, and they can see solid DNA. Now they're all grouped and organized in here. So that's all working. We're ready to publish this. So let's do that. So this is the file we want. So where we're going to publish it is on the marketplace for visualstudio.com. So if we just open up a web browser and go to marketplace.visualstudio.com, and then this is where we want to do it. So you go to Publish Extensions. It's going to ask you to sign in. So I'm just going to sign into my account real quick. So if you haven't got a Microsoft account already, then just create one. It's just for, obviously, any of Microsoft services rather. So if you've got, say, an Xbox account, you'll probably have one. If you've got an email account with Office 365 or Azure or anything like that, you'll have one. If not, just create one. I'm pretty sure most people have a Microsoft account. Once you first sign in, after clicking that publish extensions, you won't get seen this page. What you'll see is the create publisher page. So it'll say, you know, create new, basically it'll be this exact page here. So you'll have to fill this out. So all you do is put your name in, your name that you want to appear in the publisher's name. So I just put AngelSix. That'll give you an idea of whatever that, you know, it auto generates it for you. Put your description, your logo, company name, just basic info, and click create. That'll submit it off to Visual Studio, or to Microsoft rather, to create your publisher. And then I believe it takes a while. Maybe it doesn't. It might take a while to authenticate. I only did this last night, just in case it needed authenticating. It appears straight away. And I don't know whether it needs any kind of authentication for this to work. And I haven't uploaded any yet. So this is literally doing it live to see. So now we've signed in. We've got a publisher. It's as simple as clicking new extension, Visual Studio, and then drag and drop your file. So we'll take the file here and do what it tells us. We'll drag and drop it on. Click continue. The publisher, display name, and marketplace, and author in the extension need to be the same to publish the extension. So we need to edit then, by the looks of it, our template. The publisher display name in marketplace and author name. Oh, so the author name needs to be AngelSix in the VSiX manifest. So here it's going to have to match your publisher name, which is good to know. Build again and release. That's done. Drag and drop the new one back on again. So I'll have to go back. Oh, there's no back button. Okay. Click the edit. Okay, let's just close it down, leave the page, start again, just to be sure. Drag and drop the new one on. Click continue. And then this will extract that zip on the server, figure out all the info, and pre-fill in as much as it can. So internal name. This is the internal name used by Marketplace to uniquely identify your extension, and it can't be edited once made. So I would say then, is this going to be, I think what it'll be is your publisher name, so it'll be AngelSix dot, and then we'll do solid DNA dot blank. And hopefully that'll be, cannot contain, internal name contains non-permitted characters, so it's got to be, can we do that? Yeah, so we can do a dash. So I'm presuming that will then internally resolve down to AngelSix dot solid DNA dash blank. Display name is pulled in from the package automatically. That's what we filled in the Visual Studio template. So it's pulled all this in from that. It's pulled the logo in. It's pulled the description in. So an overview now of this whole package, I guess, which really to me is the same as this. So you can come up with better ones, but solid DNA, well, I guess it's yeah, I'll just do it slightly different, so it's some more info. Solid DNA makes creating SolidWorks API add-in projects nice and easy and in the modern style of coding. All open source and provided at github.com/AngelSix/SolidWorks API. That'll do for now. Supported versions, it's all pulled from our pre-existing thing. Categories now, I guess, categories for this would be, we're not Ajax, ASP, Office, Windows Phone, WinForms, WPF, Visual Studio Extensions. As in, this is an extension, but it's not. That's what that's meaning. So I guess we could do, we can do WPF and other, I guess. They're the only two with any kind of relevance. Tags, it should have already pulled in. But it obviously hasn't for some reason. So let me just pull in my tags. I don't want to retype them. So I should be able to just open this VS manifest in VS Code and pull the tags. I'm sure the tags are in here. There we go. Oh, tags beyond permitted length of 80. Okay, let's get rid of plugin. Let's get rid of my name, maybe. That should be enough. There we go. Pricing free. Source code repository. Should have again pulled that in, but never mind. Allow question and answer via extension, sure. Save and upload. And tags must be less than 50 characters. So this is comma delimited. So if we were to get rid of plugins, get rid of my name, and of course, the one time I picked space delimited, it's comma delimited. In fact, then I think I could have contained, or could have included rather, all of the tags. I think it was just that I hadn't, oops. Yep. That's in now, upload and save. That's really annoying now, these tags, in fact. Last attempt, and then tags are not going to be included because I'm getting a bit bored of typing tags now. Nope, okay, forget it. So they are space delimited, but I'm going to leave tags off for now. I can't really care. So there we go. Updated, availability not public, version verifying one. So I guess we just wait for this to verify. And if it's anything like Nougat, it could take up to half an hour. So I will, oh, there we go, that was quick. So I guess that's verified already. So now the not public, I don't know whether that's going to become public, whether we're waiting for my account to be verified before it goes public, because as I mentioned, you typically have to, oh, there you go. So at the bottom, when you create your publisher, at the last little bottom part, you have this checkbox here that you can apply to be public. So you enable that and click save, and then it tells you this publisher verification has been applied for, because I did it last night. You may resend the request by toggling and saving. But basically, you can apply that your account, this publisher, is publicly available. So my account's been approved now. It took about 24 hours from when I'd started applying for it last night. So now that's done, in this drop down, we should have make public. So we can click the make public, and hopefully this will make the extension public immediately. So let's just go to File, then New, and then Project. And I presume if we go down to the online and then go to the search and type solid DNA, yep, and there you go. So it's publicly available now here, which is great. That's what we want. The only thing is that's got the name of the templates altogether, not a specific one. So that'll be interesting to see what happens when we have more than one template. I think what that might be doing is actually installing the overall extension, and you maybe have to click on that to install. So let's just go to Tools and Extensions, and we should also see in here, if we go to Online and Search, and then type in Solid DNA, then we can see it here as well. So that's really it. That's where the extensions will now be for somebody else to make use of. So that's really it for this video. Hopefully it was useful to you guys. If you want to support what I'm doing, as always, you can visit the patreon.com/AngelSix page. And as always, if you leave comments in the video, I'll get back to you. And hopefully this video was useful.